Memory and context. So we mentioned this before, but I think one of the most powerful parts of Lindy that kind of flies under the radar is Lindy remembers everything behind the scenes, so you don't have to. So like if I'm on step 20 of an action, Lindy's gonna remember the previous 19 actions, all the inputs, outputs, all the information. It's automatically gonna be used to like create the best output or input in step 20. But there are ways you can like optimize or manage your memory to get more out of it. And so there's kind of two levers you can pull: context and memories. And so first we're going to talk about context. So there's two types of context as well. There's automatic context, which I just talked about, which is all of the context that happens automatically. Like so, every time a step happens, all this stuff is just being remembered by Lindy for the downstream events. And there's also like settings context. Like there's also like global configuration context. So like for each Lindy agent, I could write like, hey, like you are my meeting note taker agent. Like whenever you respond to follow-up emails, like this is your personality, like these are your main objectives. You can give like global context that is like persistent across all tasks. And any prompt agent or auto action is just always using context. So Lindy automatically has a system prompt behind the scenes that is like really optimized for your performance. And so that's another thing you don't have to worry about. But all this context is always being fed into the prompt whenever Lindy's doing anything, which is why you don't have to worry about it. And context resets between tasks. So if say I have one meeting to the next meeting, Lindy's not going to remember the previous meeting unless I configure it to do so. So context like for each task is unique. And memories. So memories are a tool. You can think of them as like they're a snippet of like knowledge that you want your agents to remember. So they're persistent across tasks, kind of like the global. They're like more like global context, and they're just like these little nuggets and snippets of information. And like often they're used to just like help Lindy learn over time. And so there's three different like main actions your agent can take within kind of the workflow. You can have these memory actions. There's these different actions you can take. You can read, you can create, and you can update. So you can read in memories, you can create new memories, you can update memories. You can also like delete memories. And often this is used for iterative learning. So like say, my meeting schedule Lindy learns like, oh, Ethan's actually in PST time zone. I'm going to update like a little memory so I know that next time. Or, hey, I remember now whenever I ask someone for a meeting, I should ask what time zone they're in because I made a mistake doing that in the past. Like memories are really powerful for iterative learning. And just to show you what this looks like in the platform real quick. Okay, so context and memories. How is this used within the platform? So let's first talk about context. So like say I have a bunch of actions here. Any type of action I put on the flow editor, like every run is automatically added into the memory. So that's how you can think about the automatic context. For global context, if I navigate to settings, you can see this box right here. And in this box, this is where I can put any type of global information. You can see this example is really great, like your customer support agent for a bakery, your goals to apply the tickets. You can put anything that you want all of your agents to remember at all times in this big box. And then memories are like snippets. You can add manual memories here, like, hey, like my working hours are 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And now Lindy remembers this. And these are essentially just memories are treated the same as the context up here. And then there's also memory actions. So like say I have an action. If I go to buy Lindy in Lindy Utilities, you'll see the memory actions. So you can see delete all memories. You can also manage memories, like modify agent memory. And there's all the different actions we can take, like add, remove, modify. So you could say like a typical workflow might have like a condition like, hey, did you learn something about how to make this better? You have a condition step within a workflow, like go down this path if you learned something to do your task better. And then I could modify agent memory, add snippet of how it could be better. So you can make those prompts a little bit better. But some sort of combination like that can let your agents get iteratively better over time. I typically just use context for most of mine. And there's also like context actions, like add context. Like most of the time you don't need memories. But if there's any task that like changes a lot over time is like when you might want to think about using memories.